usher. I know you're not necessarily big on hard assets, but I can't help but see that everything's moving towards a crypto type scenario. Obviously, we know that the beast system is real and it's coming sooner than later. But should we push against crypto? Should we buy into it and kind of go to this cashless society? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so you're right on the moving towards. We are more moving towards that. Back in 2009, I wrote a paper, and it was published a number of times in reference to, I believe that it is the currency, a one world currency, that's going to lead us to the one world government. That's what's going to usher in the one world government. I wasn't making a theological statement, but I was just based on how easy it's going to be able to use a currency to usher in the government. And I think that has already started and is going to happen. I said back then, and I said about 5 years before that the currency is going to come out of the IMF. And I believe that is probably true. I don't think it's going to come out of the U.S. I think it's going to come out of the IMF. And they have been pushing it very hard for the last almost 20 years about a one world or a currency for everybody. They don't call it a one world currency, but a currency for everybody and anybody. And they already kind of have that in place. It's not going to be one of the current cryptocurrencies that everybody is buying. That would be a very difficult thing to do. It's not going to be any cryptocurrency until there is one that is totally accountable. There has to be accountability. In other words, the IRS, other governments in taxation organizations need to be able to know who's got what so that they can tax it properly. We can't have a Bitcoin, for instance, that is the primary currency of child traffickers, of drug dealers, of terrorists that are holding accounts or in ransom. That's who's using it, because it is not traceable. And now the FBI and others have come up with some ways to trace some of it. But there's got to be a level of accountability, and there's got to be a level of measurability. So the United States, Janet Yellen is going to be pushing what is called a stable currency. Now, she's never mentioned where the stable currency is coming from, whether it's going to come from the U.S. or the IMF. I think it may be coming from the IMF and not the U.S., but she's all behind that. And I think the other nations will do whatever the U.S. does, and we could start to see us start to integrate a stable currency, it's called, which is basically going to be a form of electronic currency. I don't believe that's the mark of the beast, but I do believe that's the system that's going to usher in the one world government. So we have electronic currency now. It is widely used more than it's ever been because of COVID, and that's called a credit card. That's electronic currency. There is no cash in people's wallets. They have a credit card. So it's been around since 1956. So it is likely to be some sort of, electronic currency that is going to be the currency of choice in all likelihood or necessity before, at least certainly in your lifetime, before too long. So that's my thoughts about it. I don't think it's going to be any of the current cryptocurrencies. There are people buying cryptocurrency because they think that surely it's going to be this one. No, it's not going to be any of them, because you can't leave out an important fact like accountability. We're talking about the central banks of the world. They have to have a legitimacy of the currency, and they have to have an ability to hold accountable. So that's likely, we will see it. It's going to be some sort of currency, and it's going to likely come out, like I said, of the IMF.
Hey, remember to click the subscribe button right here on the screen. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when new content is added. And more importantly than anything, you don't want to miss all 3 live hours of Financial Issues every day from 9 to noon. And you can watch it on FISM.tv. That's FISM.tv.